Hey guys, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Today we're going to talk and take a look at some of the comments in some of the YouTube videos that I've made, and we're just going to talk about them. That's it. No big deal. Other than that, let's go ahead and play that intro. So before we start the video though, I would like you to hit that thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and possibly that join button. It only helps out the show. We're going to take a look at the comments that have been left on some of my videos. Some of them are kind of funny, some of them are kind of, I don't know, they're people stating an opinion that doesn't, it's just an opinion. I'll just say that. I mean, it's everybody's got their opinion, they're entitled to it. And well, yeah, we'll just go with that. First one is on my newly released today short for the mouse that literally has changed my life. I cannot argue about it. I tell everybody that this M575 by the Logitech Ergo M575 is a fantastic mouse. You can find it on Amazon for right around $40, maybe it's under 50. It's between $40 and $50. And I can simply tell you that it is fantastically one of the best things that has ever I've ever used in my computing world. Honest to God. Honest to goodness, it is an amazing mouse. First in last commented enlightening, and I responded, I know I was. I love this mouse, and I can't thank Matt from the Linux Cast on the Christmas special who showed me and talked to me about the trackball mouse and a couple of the other, I would say colleagues that we are colleagues in the YouTube sphere, talked me into the to this mouse. It is fantastic. On my Solus 4.5 Linux distro, for those of you that don't know, Solus just released a new release that is the 4.5. They've taken care of some stuff under the hood. They came out with the new XFCE edition. It is a very, very good distro. It's a solid distro. It's an independent distro. And some people may not know it because it took a while for them to release the last few releases because they took a long hiatus, I would say, from development. The main developer went and created Serpent OS, as I stated in the video. So it created a little thing. Then they had a thing where they couldn't access one of the servers that had the repos on it or something like that, so they weren't able to do that. But then they finally got access to it, and then they were starting to actually update it and stuff like that. So there were some issues with it in the background that caused them to take a hiatus. All were good reasons, but in the end, they came back, and they came back roaring to the point that they created a XFCE beta edition. And Chris G457 said, I have been reluctant of Solus OS since hearing of the intentions for the immutable desktops. However, when they came out with the release, I just had to try the XFCE beta on bare metal, and I have been pleasantly surprised. As far as gaming goes, it's very comparable to Nobara. Everything just works. It's very fine release, and will most likely leave it for a while on my daily driver. I did, however, add i3 Window Manager to the install, and he's liking it. I cannot tell you that he went wrong in any of that. My response to him was nice to hear. I was also surprised. It was really cool. And it's true. Back in the day when they came out with their initial independent distro, they're the ones that they created Budgie. They made Budgie, the new desktop environment for it. And so when they came out with it, it was so new and so refreshing that it was awesome. And so it went by the same course as anything else. It took its time, outpaced itself. People, didn't like it anymore for whatever reasons they chose. Other new desktop environments came along and took it out of its prime light, the limelight. And so it went by the wayside. But if you haven't heard of Solus, go try it. It's actually a really solid distribution. I like it. It's, like I said, it's independent. It's got all kinds of check marks for it. Again, also, they are in their Plasma edition. They did mention in the release. And I have another comment on the Solus 45. That's why I'm saying this. I mentioned in it that they're planning on implementing the Plasma 6 in there, and I made a comment that it's buggy. And IOTOR, I Iotori365, I hope I didn't butcher your name. I'm sorry if I did. He commented, of course KD6 is kind of buggy. It hasn't been released yet. I understand that, but let's be real. 5.27, whatever's out there is actually kind of buggy in itself as well. So let's KDE has gotten to be pretty buggy. I don't know why, but I think it's because it's over encumbered. And so inadvertently small things are breaking other small things, which cause breakages. That's I am not a developer. I am not a coder. I cannot pretend to say that I know exactly why, but it's just a speculation. When you get too many moving parts under the hood, they tend to break and they tend to cause other parts to break. So I think that could be what it is. I'm not saying it definitively, but either way, Iotori365, thank you for your comment. Moving on to another video that I made, just a few videos behind that, is how to transition from Windows to Linux, a casual user's journey. That video, when I made that video was intended strictly for people who are coming over or considering coming over to Linux from a Windows environment that are simply looking to be like a home general user. And by that, I mean somebody who will just turn on their computer, log in, go cruise a couple websites, do their minimal stuff, maybe watch, something online, download a video, download music, that kind of stuff, general use stuff. And so that's what that video was really made for, was people that are considering switching to Linux to say that Linux is absolutely viable for that. And so Zubier18 made a comment saying, using Linux is a pain, nothing works. All I want is some cooperation, but the system does everything to pick a bone with me. I thought that was kind of cute and comical, actually, because I have had that same sentiment myself. And so I asked him, ouch, sorry to hear that. What distro are you using? And he responded back kindly. And this is awesome. I haven't really replied to him, but doing this video, and I'll add him in the description that I mentioned him in the video. And he said, at the Linux tube, I use Debian 9, he thinks. In work and tried Ubuntu at home. I remember, funny thing, when I came to work and the system would not boot, turned out my coworker used all of the free space on the system drive somehow, and Linux won't boot when there's 0 megabytes of free disk space. I was baffled. I would gladly free up some space, but let me do it. God damn it. And I totally empathize with the gentleman. Or person, actually. I don't know if it's a woman or a male, actually, but either way, and I don't want to be offensive. I totally empathize. I have been frustrated to this point with Linux myself, and I have never heard, because being a content creator, I actually fill up my hard drives a lot because of the videos that I make take a lot of drive space. A lot of the content that I download to make the videos for like background images and that kind of stuff, they take up a lot of space. And I have pretty large hard drives. I probably got, in my main drive is a 500 gig hard drive. My backup drive is a terabyte, and then I have a 2 terabyte that is strictly made for YouTube videos hard drive. Seriously. So that being said, I have about 3-4 terabytes of hard drive space, and I run out of hard drive space a lot. So the only thing I can tell you is if that truly was the case, and I've never heard of that happening of 0 megabytes, because I fill mine up and I still am able to boot into it. So I'm not sure why yours didn't, unless it was a swap space thing that was failing because it had no room to write extra for swap space. So I am not sure of what the issue could be, but you could always, if that happens and you need to, open up space on your hard drive or free up some space, you can always use your live CD that you used, boot into it, then navigate into the actual file folder that's on your hard drive and maybe go through your documents, some videos or something, just enough to free up enough space to be able to boot into it. Then you can boot into it naturally, and then once again go looking for, through your file man, use your terminal to find out which files are taking up the most space and see which ones you can get rid of to help you that. And then You might also consider adding a second hard drive or upgrading your hard drive in that to make that better. But yeah, I understand that sentiment 100%. Also in the same video, GuruWare8612, he says, don't use a GUI, use a terminal so you get the error code. That's in response to a part of one of the parts of the video where I said one of the best things about Linux is that if you use the terminal, you can see the error code, and a lot of times you can toggle that on when it's installing something, because, you know, in GUIs it'll give you that information, it'll give you the log, and you can see that. Windows doesn't do that when you install applications. It just installs the app, you click on the execution file, it installs it, and then it'll error code out on you for whatever reason. So, you know, it does give you a bit of the error code, but a lot of people just read past it, whereas the terminal, it clearly delineates it. And so I made that comment. He says, and I told him that once you get that error code, you can actually go to Google and you could search Google. He was making kind of a comment on saying that if you're pushing for GUI, then stick to GUI and not use, for terminal or command line, don't use GUI as much. But I didn't mean that. What I was simply saying is you have the benefit of using that both. Whereas in Windows, most Windows users who are just going into Windows as a general everyday person don't do anything with PowerShell. And honestly, when I used Windows, I think I might have gone into PowerShell, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times. Really, it wasn't until I got into Linux that I started learning command line. And I had just as many errors in Windows. So, I mean, PowerShell is just not something that's normally used by a normal person in the Windows environment. So, I was kind of saying that that's the benefit of the terminal, but he kind of took it to there. He says, you have a terminal in Windows too, which I just talked about, the PowerShell. That's all. No reason for Linux. He's saying that you could do everything on Windows that you can in Linux, besides the useless efforts to customize the hell out of it until nothing works. And that's because I simply said in that video that there were benefits to Linux over Windows because you can customize it to the way you want to. And he says, but you have your boot USB to try another distro. So I guess what he was trying to say in that was that you could use your USB thumb drive to rescue yourself by putting another distro or reinstalling the distro again. Then you could see in the comment section, which he's talking about in that comment section of the video, what really matters, because a person said that he commented that he liked the second theme, that because I had a B-roll movie going through where we're showing different KDE desktops, and he really liked that second theme and he wanted to know what it was, and I told him I didn't know what it was because it was a B-roll theme. And so he was saying, which themes are you using, because he thought that was, the most, what really mattered in the comments. Professionals are using computers for work. They don't care, aka give a bleep which color their hammer has. Okay, so apparently this guy is more of a power user in Windows than Linux, which I'm not so sure that he couldn't be a power user in Linux either, because power user is a power user, period. If you're comfortable in command line, then you're going to be comfortable in command line, whether it is Windows or whether it is Linux, because it's just a matter of learning the different syntax, I guess, for the most part. The other thing is, if you're a power user like that you want to use business, then why would you be looking at a home desktop environment for your business for Linux anyhow, instead of a Linux business based derivative like Red Hat or OpenSUSE or FreeSpire. There are distributions out there that are specifically made for business working environments that have desktop environments and are also server based as well. So I don't know that he's aware of that. Maybe he is. I responded by saying, oh, you bring a little heat. First off, you have to be on, I've been on the record in both videos and podcasts that if you need to use, or even choose to use Windows, that I have zero issue with it at all, because at the end of the day, you need to use what works for you. And so, I mean, this statement, like I said, what I made in this video was intended for people who aren't power users. They're just people who are going to go and use the internet, or, just the home stuff, maybe even write a little Word document or something, but nothing like business wise. And, that was really what the video was geared to. And so, I went on to say a lot of other things. And also he had a negative, most importantly, what I said towards the end was, fourthly, I see you had a negative experience with Linux. What was the issue that made it bad for you? And you are truly mad because you didn't get the help you needed from someone, which I can't deny doesn't happen, or you just gave up on fixing it because you didn't get enough direction from which way to problem solve on it. Either way, thanks for your personal experience and statement on the topic. I mean, it doesn't get any more simpler than that. I find that tends to be another problem that people have when they're trying to switch to Linux. I've addressed that in several things. The RTFM group is phasing out in here, and you are going to places to get more help. In fact, this is a place where I will shamelessly plug my Discord. My Discord has plenty of people that are willing to help people there. We have noobs and we have seasoned vets in there who are very technologically savvy, and help out people all the time. There's always somebody there, and there's no flaming going on. So come join the server if you can. The link is in the description of the video down below. Also, another one that came in on that same video was, most users nowadays just consume the content online, and in this case, OS doesn't matter at all. All you need is just Google Chrome, and it's almost the same on most OSs. In case of gaming, you have no alternative for Windows. In case of work, you just use the OS that has, I guess, that have needed programs. So there is no reason to switch to any OS for a casual user. Just use the one you know. Casual users don't need OS customization, and if you customize your OS, you're not a casual user. Now, this guy, which is iHorkyorvian 1767, he went to the opposite spectrum of the other guy, meaning that if you're not a power user, then you don't need to use any specific distribution. If you're just, because if you are a casual user, then you can just use a basic, simple, distribution and stuff like that. And he's sort of right. And my comment to him was a little bit more lengthier. I said, I understand your sentiment here, and I do. However, two things, my friend: the other OSs do not and will never give you freedom over your hardware that you've spent your hard-earned money over. Latest example of this is the whole TPM thing that Windows is pushing on customers, and also the driver certificates that are vendor specific that will only work with Windows. 2, gaming. Well, that bridge has been built and it's been crossed, and we're good. We'd be good on gaming for Linux, for real. I mean, we're not perfect, but we're good. I mean, Generation 0 is fantastic. There's lots of, main title games out there that you can play that work well on it. I've played Call of Duty on it. I mean, it works. It really does. It works because of the compatibility that exists as Proton. In fact, the biggest gaming platform has thrown in with Linux, Arch to be specific, and doing well. They just released their second generation OLED screen videoed handheld gaming machine when they themselves said they wouldn't release one for a while. Oh, by the way, Linux used to be at 1% market share, and guys, as of I want to say about a week ago, we are now at 4% market share. 4% market share because Linux on gaming is coming on strong. Direct correlation, brother. Direct correlation. That is a huge growth in the time that it has done. I'm just saying that these are reasons to switch to. It just may not be your case scenario. Also, maybe in this retort, you've realized that there may be one in your use case scenario. So either way, I've gotten a lot of comments on that video. War Thunder actually stated, any switch from Windows to Linux is a slow one, but worthwhile. It took years, but I'm almost there. By the way, War Thunder's in our Discord over there, by the way. He says, never felt in control of the computer, and it causes a lot of issues. Wait. He switched out of frustration, mostly because he never felt in control of the computer, and it caused a lot of issues. Often, I want to turn on my PC and game, not deal with Windows updates immediately or some other AI bullcrap just to launch my games. Now, for my wife, it's her refusal to use Windows 11 because of how awful it is. Plus, she too wants to do all with this AI nonsense that's out there. I said, some things never change with Windows. They just add more to the situation every time. Thanks for the comment. And this is a true fact comment. I was not slamming Windows, like I said. If you need to use it, feel free to use it because you got to use what works for you in the end. But Windows, in my opinion, has always added more fire than it has done to try to put out the fire. It has done everything it can to make it harder and harder for users and put more and more on the nickel and diming of users. To the point that they're actually making you have to upgrade your hardware constantly because they can't code or make their code base small enough to keep the same footprint so that you could just keep reusing your hardware and not become outdated. They're working hand in hand to make it with vendors to make it that way. To me, that's just dirty. That's dirty pool, period. So I'm glad that War Thunder and his wife switched to Linux, and I hope that they're having understanding. And also, War Thunder, I tell you right now, you can hit me up in our Discord anytime if you have any questions about anything. I'm always here for you. I'm always here for anybody. Mr. Kreleza Mislav. He says, great video, hermano, Serpent OS. I've been living under a rock. He didn't hear about Serpent OS, but most people haven't heard of it because it's been mainly being pushed on the X platform, also known as Twitter, or formerly Twitter. That's where they're pushing a lot of their information out there. So never heard of it. Shame on me. A review perhaps. And actually, I have already been in contact with them. They know that I want to do a review on it. And when it gets close enough, they said they will give it to me to do a review. So that being said, look forward to that, Mislav. And so we will go ahead and end with DV-ML4FM on the how to transition to Windows to Linux casual users journey video. It says, I made the switch to Linux a long time ago, became because I think Windows was so boring. Yeah, he typed became, but he meant because Windows was so boring. It should be called Snooze 11. I said to him, that's probably the best statement about Windows I've heard in a long time. Because normally I hear about Windows 11 a lot worse. So I'm glad that he kept it that way. He says, and he replied back, thanks for loving his comment. So yeah, and I mentioned it in the video as well. So either way, guys, I hope that you guys were entertained by some of those comments. I always find it interesting how people have different views of my videos and what prompts a comment at them. I thoroughly engage with the comments. I never get offended by the comments because I understand and I respect everybody's opinions. So leave a comment in this video. What'd you think about them? And on any of the topics that we discussed. Also, if you haven't heard of any of these comments before, hey, go ahead and these topics before, go ahead and leave a comment about that below. Don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up and subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And also, go ahead and please hit that join button. It only helps me out. As always, I will tell you guys to have a great day. Stay blessed. Keep on doing what you do. Keep on Linuxing. And have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. But before we go, we need to go ahead and thank some people. So let's go ahead and do that.